My name is Martin Hooker. I'm Managing Director of Meerbaum Capital. Meerbaum is a provider of alternative finance to small and medium-sized shipping companies, deploying money from Oaktree Capital in the US.
What are the advantages of alternative finance compared to traditional bank finance?
Well, if you look from an owner's perspective, the owner will call his banker and say, okay, I have this project here and there. And the banker will say, give me a ton of information. We will say, can you explain the project to us now? Why do you want to do it? What's the advantage? And how you think you will make money with this? And we will listen to the client. We don't tick boxes. We will listen to what the client wants. And then we'll decide fairly fast whether we can do it, whether our money will support it or not. And that means the client has a decision within hours or 1-2 days. Whereas for banks, 2 weeks later, they may still ask for information without even indicating whether they will or won't do a project. And when it then comes to execution, we can be fast enough that a client can do the S&P process while we're actually talking to each other. And he can abandon the S&P project without losing face if we don't finance, and will be able to execute and compete with cash buyers. And lastly, in shipping, you always have these events that are one-off events. Most are positive for shipping, but some are not so. And that's not a time where you want to talk to someone. And that's us. We'll talk to the people, we find a solution. Basically, that's it in a nutshell.
Could you outline a few of the latest developments in the ship finance landscape?
Well, what we've seen is all markets booming at the same time, which means that there are a lot of banks that don't have experienced people in some areas, so they don't look at what can happen if things go wrong. If Red Sea is over, if the Ukraine war is over, then we'll have more efficiencies than we have at the moment. And many banks that we see are doing projects that remind me a lot of 2007, where vessels are financed in a way they shouldn't be financed. So I think that's one of the latest developments. And all these banks are flocking for the same kind of clients, the same risk, and competing on price rather than competing on creativity or innovative structures. I see them mostly competing on price. So that's the latest.
My name is Anil Sharma. I'm the founder of GMS and also the shipping company, which is Lila Global. I'm based in Dubai, but I'm an Indian American.
What are the biggest challenges the industry faces in the years ahead?
Wow, what a great question. Biggest challenges. I think if you ask anybody in the shipping, the first answer is always decarbonization. That is the big thing. To me, I tell people there are two pillars. The changes will come is, of course, decarbonization, and the other is in the area of technology. I think shipping has somehow not been in the forefront of technology. If you look at the car industry, the changes that have happened, perhaps even the airline industry, shipping has been more conservative in that. So to me, I think these are two biggest changes in terms of the actual shipping. Now, geopolitical risks, that's a totally different. I'm not talking about those things. And trade patterns and sanctions and the gray fleet, then that's a different. I'm talking about the ship specific.
Could you please provide some insight into ship recycling and how it's impacting the global fleet supply-demand dynamics across sectors?
Well, I mean, ship recycling is an extremely important, component in the whole shipping cycle. As the shipbuilding, chartering, financing, ship owning, ship recycling, they all connect. That's to me, is the circular economy, the 360 economy. We need ships to be recycled sustainably so that new ships can come in. And to me, sustainability also means having economic value, because people are not going to recycle ships if they have to pay for these ships. So you need to bring sustainability in there. So I think that's what we've been trying to do for the last 30 years. Fortunately, the industry has been doing so well that not last 4 years have been very slow in recycling. In fact, last year was one of the slowest year in the last 15 years. But that also means that there's almost a buildup of a perfect storm. And I can see maybe as early as next year that you can have a huge influx of ships for recycling. And also at the same time, July 26th of next year, you have the Hong Kong Convention that comes into force. And so ships will have to be recycled in yards that are, and we are in Hong Kong, that has been, convention was developed here. So there are about 96 yards in India that are Hong Kong Convention compliant, 5 yards in Bangladesh, and the rest in Turkey. So I think that puts a pressure. So you have a buildup of old fleet, but at the same time, you have a limitation of capacity. So that is worrisome. But I think in the past, 2012 was the biggest year when we recycled 60 million deadweight. It's possible we're going to beat that when the market changes. And so it's going to be busy for us in that cycle.
You are also a major ship owner with a diverse fleet. How do you maximize value of vintage assets?
I don't know the term major, but for us, we have built ships in 2015, but that's not what our skill set is. And so we did a hard look, and since we are not a public listed company, we don't have to, sell the bright shiny objects. We see great value in mid-age vintage assets. And that worked out quite well for us because for a while there was this whole worry about fuel technology. So people were not building, capital was not there. So as a result, we see the world fleet aging. And for us, as a company, we thought that's a good opportunity for us. We understand old ships. I love old ships. And so we started buying. We bought containers, and the market was positive for us. And we sold because it was a very bullish market. We bought tankers then in all sectors, from VLCCs all the way to MR tankers. And that market picked up, and our timing was good, so we exited that space. And we have some containers. We still have some feeder containers, and we have some J19s. But primarily, we have a dry bulk fleet. And that market seems to have done well for us as well. So we are okay. So I think how's our buying? Our buying is just based on where we see a decent opportunity. And that's how we have been doing. LNG is a very interesting space for us, but that's more from recycling perspective.
Hi, I'm Pankaj Khanna. I'm the CEO and shareholder of Heidmar. Heidmar is a tanker pooling company and commercial manager based out of Athens. We have 6 offices globally. We have about 60 people onshore, and we also have about 120 seafarers in the company.
You recently made an acquisition of Landbridge Ship Management, which is based out of Hong Kong. Could you please tell us the strategy behind that?
Yeah, Hong Kong is a key hub for us. It's an area which is like a gateway into China. Heidmar has been doing commercial management for many years. When I acquired the company in November 2020, I used my asset background to change the structure of the company a bit to look at not just commercial management, but also to look at an overall asset manager. So I have basically changed out how the company works. So we not only do commercial management anymore, I also wanted to look at technical management. So an opportunity came up to acquire LBSM, which is based out of Hong Kong. So that's what we basically executed in March. It's a company which manages 4 VLCCs today and is about to take over the 5th VLCC. Although the numbers are small, but because the vessels manage our VLCCs, the standards are very high. And so we are approved by Exxon, we have BP, TMS Sedan, we have a ship with Coke, with Trafigura. So the value of a manager that manages 4 VLCCs is quite high. It's a difficult company to acquire out there. Very few companies actually manage VLCCs. So that's why we acquired LBSM, and then it also then gave us an entree into the Hong Kong market. And so I've been back in Hong Kong like for the last, I think, 9 months. I've been here 4 or 5 times, and that has helped build up the relationship. So we've built on the LBSM relationships to build our presence in Hong Kong.
How do you see Hong Kong as an international maritime hub over the next few years?
I think Hong Kong is still a very important strategic area or location in the Asian market. There is a lot of competition from Singapore, I know, but Hong Kong is a gateway into mainland China. Hong Kong has its own standing by itself. It has a maritime community. So for me, it's been a great way to, there are owners in Hong Kong, but also through our presence in Hong Kong, we've been able to expand our presence in China. So the way I see it, I think Hong Kong will retain and grow its presence in the maritime market. It needs to adapt, it needs to change, there needs to be some more support, but if the organization over here supports the maritime community, I think the Hong Kong maritime community can grow further than where we are today.